Should unlock as you approach. Now it's powered up. Didn't have to touch an engine start button, and getting out and exiting is just the reverse. So put it in a park and then just get out and walk away. I'm Justin Pritchard. This is the Volkswagen ID.4. This is an electric car. This particular unit is actually pretty special because it is an American spec machine. So visually and functionally, this represents what we're going to get here in Canada when this goes on sale. We're going to take a look at this machine, and I'm going to show you everything that I've learned about it in this video. Welcome to the Volkswagen ID.4, seen here on a little road trip to Killarney, Ontario for a hike, plenty of fresh air, and some famous fish and chips. Basically, what you see is what we'll get in Canada, although my American tester did not have the heated windscreen and heat pump climate control system that will be standard on Canadian models to reduce the effects of cold temperatures on the range of its battery. The ID.4 is all electric. There's no gasoline involved. It'll do 400 kilometers to a charge at room temperature, and if you want my best guess for severe winter use, I'd say knock off about 80 to 120 clicks from that range if it's 25 below and you've got the heat cranked. The average Canadian driver drives less than 50 kilometers a day, and you can easily recharge this from empty in your driveway overnight if you have to. And on a fast charger, you can add 100 kilometers of range during the average road trip bathroom and coffee pit stop. Sometimes you get storage under here. Not in this case though. Cooling system and computer modules and so on. Batteries on the floor, the motor's in the back.
Put a sandwich here?
Yeah, maybe a sandwich. My tester runs the ID.4's standard issue powertrain with a single rear-mounted motor and rear-wheel drive. This makes it the first rear-drive Volkswagen in decades, and one of just a few cars like the Porsche 911, Smart Car, and even Volkswagen camper van which have the engine in the back. In my tester, the one-motor rear-drive setup is good for 200 horsepower. Most units sold in Canada will have an additional front electric motor for all-wheel drive and a power boost to 300 horsepower. You can consider the ID.4 as an electric alternative to models like the Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, Subaru Forester, and even the Volkswagen Tiguan, which is the next crossover, size-wise, up Volkswagen's SUV ladder. In the smaller ID.4, all-wheel drive models can even tow 2,700 pounds and come with a standard trailer hitch mount so you can put it to work. With its striking shape and futuristic design details, the ID.4 clearly communicates a crossover body, and closer inspection as you hop on board reveals plenty of space, a completely flat rear floor, and easy entry and exit at each outboard seat with little more than a slight shift sideways to get in or out. A little demonstration. My friend Joel here is going to show us how easy it is to get in and out of this thing if you're running a day of errands, and how it removes a couple of steps along the way. So, if you just walk up, should unlock as you approach, and just touch the door handle there. Now it's powered up. Didn't have to touch an engine start button, and getting out and exiting is just the reverse. So put it in a park and then just get out and walk away. Car powers down when he's out of the seat. Close the door and just walk off, and it will automatically lock when we're out of range. After 10 days at the wheel, a few key impressions stood out. First, let's talk performance. With this rear-drive 200 horsepower configuration, the ID.4 performs most impressively at lower speeds. In around-town driving, city commuting, and the like, the throttle is snappy, and the ID.4 can quickly gobble up the space between traffic lights without making a peep. But at higher speeds, where highway passing and merging are required, throttle response falls off. Driving enthusiasts are advised to wait for the 300 horsepower all-wheel drive version, though if you're not looking for all-wheel drive, if you're looking to save some money, and if you're not a highway speed demon, this 200 horsepower setup will do you just fine. On connectivity, wireless Android Auto and a concealed wireless charging pad meant my phone could stay parked, juiced, and out of sight while driving, with key functions scaled up into the central screen. With no need for a cord, that's less clutter in your driving environment and one less step if you feel like heading off in a rush. So in summary, this is an excellent around-town runabout, and I think a lot of shoppers will appreciate how easy this machine is to just get in and drive. So how does it drive? The highway feel is solid, dense, heavy, and relaxed. Noise levels are kept nicely in check, there's no need to raise your voice for a conversation at highway cruising speed, and the cutting-edge new MEB architecture beneath the ID.4 is so solid and strong that it really feels more substantial on the road than its size leads on. This is an incredibly rigid and advanced body structure, and on rough surfaces, that helps mitigate noise caused by flexing of the vehicle body, which typically causes air to move throughout the cabin, sort of turning it into a drum. Still, certain surfaces do coax more suspension noise and feedback from the vehicle than I'd like. I'd advise test driving shoppers to hit a rough road on their test drive to confirm that ride quality here meets their needs. And while solid and sporty, if that comfortable backroads ride is a priority, you do have better options. I also wished for more steering feedback, but appreciated the heavy and quick feel dialed in. Brake pedal feel is somewhat numb and vague, though I noted no issues with performance. On pricing, you're looking at about 45,000 Canadian dollars for a unit like the one on your screen, and about 50,000 Canadian dollars for the more powerful all-wheel drive unit with 300 horsepower. Those figures do not include applicable rebates or incentives. Owners will appreciate the ability to easily set a battery charge limit, which can help sustain battery health over time by stopping the charge at 80% or about 320 kilometers of range, while preserving the last 20% of charge only for use on longer trips when needed. You feel like you're sitting in a crossover. It's got a bit of a lower roofline, sort of a coupe-like feel to it, but nothing's crowded, nothing's cramped. Actually, headroom is quite decent, despite that the windshield is sort of low, and it does feel a bit coupe-like, but I've still got decent headroom. So let's see how I would fit directly behind myself. Plenty of legroom, plenty of knee room here. Again, headroom is decent. It's kind of disappearing a little bit in the back. This will be the first area that you'll run out of space will be headroom, but at 5'10", no issue for me. Interesting to note here too, this rear floor is completely flat. There is no hump here whatsoever, and that adds to the sense of room and spaciousness that you have back here because you don't have to confine your feet to just one spot. Folding seats. Let's just come down, almost a flat fold, not quite flat, but close enough. This surface is very easy to vacuum if you've got a dog who's getting hair all over it, like I do. For reference here, at 5'10", you can see the roof line on this is about up to my shoulder. A more conventional crossover might sit a little taller than this. Jump in height for your average family dog here is going to be relatively easy. This is a little higher than a Volkswagen Alltrack. Got a good sense of the cargo space here. I'm going to push all this stuff up ahead so I can show you what's underneath the storage floor here. This can come out if we don't want it. It can go down lower like this if we need a little more room. Handy little storage bins in the side. Keep your smaller items organized. Under here, even more storage. This will be your travel charger. Fits in there. This is if you're going to plug into a 120 volt household outlet. So that's handy. Comes with a little bag, stores away in here, nice and easy, out of sight. Though some techy touchpads and interfaces drive up the futuristic appeal of the ID.4, some were a source of frustration and confusion. For instance, steering wheel mounted controls are relegated to the textured touchpads, not switches and buttons, which feels clumsier and less precise. The slick central infotainment interface is easy to navigate after a few-minute learning curve, as is the touch-activated control pad for the ID.4's lighting system. But power window controls are irritating. The ID.4 has 4 windows controlled by 2 physical switches and a touch-sensitive pad that toggles them between controlling front and rear windows. That's added complication, and it's fairly temperamental. So aside from a few fussy controls, much of the ID.4 driving experience is extremely approachable and extremely convenient. This is a crossover with room for your dog, your activities, and your family. It never has to go to the gas station. And owners of recent VW products will feel right at home with the design, much of the driving feel, and many of the interfaces. This is an easy machine to look at, an easy machine to drive, and in most ways, I figure, an easy machine to like. Thank you for watching. My name's Justin Pritchard for Driving.ca. Until next time, take care and drive safe.